All right, welcome back. Still the morning show right here on the Rise News channel. The race is on and gathering momentum for who will occupy the Dennis Osagie government house office of the Edo State governor after September 19, 2020 governorship elections in the state. And as has been stated many times, the contest will be most likely a two-horse race between the incumbent governor, Governor Osagie of the People's Democratic Party, and the former secretary to Edo State government, Osagie Ize-Iyamu. A number of interesting subplots also have been taking shape in the build-up to this election. The office of the wife of the governor, for instance, an office that has over the years grown in stature and significance despite the reservations of a lot of Nigerians. It goes without saying that the wives of governors have played quite a critical role in harmonizing the efforts of their spouses in the areas of education, primary health care, and women affairs. In Edo State, these same issues have gone some way in defining the conversation around the impending elections. So joining us now for a conversation around a whole lot more regarding what should be the vision and the mission of governance in the state is Professor Idia Ize-Iyamu, a consultant orthodontist at the University of Benin and wife of the All Progressive Congress candidate for the September 19 governorship election, Osagie Ize-Iyamu. We'll also seize the opportunity to sound her out on the simple agenda of her husband for governance, as well as other issues like primary health care, education, women affairs, and a whole lot more. Welcome to the program. It's a pleasure to have you, Prof. Welcome, Prof. If you can hear me, good morning.
Yes, I hear you. Good morning.
Great, great. I mean, let us talk about issues germane to the people of Edo State. Let's talk about primary health care. Let's talk about maternal mortality. And let's talk about empowerment of women as it segues into the simple agenda of your husband.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
The simple agenda is a smart document, and it talks about the plans of Pastor Osagie Ize-Iyamu for governance in Edo State. It's actually an acronym. When you spell the simple, it outlines every aspect of change that is required among the good people of Edo State. When we talk about security, our state is not secure. So even for people in labor to leave their homes to go to the hospitals, it's a no-no. Most people stay at home, and then you have people having their babies at home because there's no safety in trying to get to the healthcare centers. So the simple agenda talks about security, it talks about social welfare for the poorest of the poor. A large majority of Edo people are living in poverty, and there's no program that would take care of them. So the S in the simple agenda does that. The I is the infrastructural development. Edo State is in a current state of disrepair and decay. The hospitals are broken down. Health centers are in a current state of disrepair. We have less than 200 doctors in the whole of Edo State. When we talk about Edo State, we're talking about the state government. We have less than 200 doctors employed to the services of the Edo State government, and that is to take care of about 3.5 million people. So the patient-to-doctor ratio is very, very high. You have one doctor to see 17,500 people. Most of the doctors are situated in the big cities. For example, excuse me. Sorry. Most of the doctors are situated in the big cities. For example, in Benin City, many of them are not in the rural areas. So most of the hospitals in the rural areas do not have doctors. We're very poor in nurses. We don't have nurses. Our School of Nursing has been closed down since 2018. School of Midwifery has been closed down. We are not training nurses. We are not training midwives. The School of Health Technology has been closed down since 2018, so we don't have allied health workers. The health workers that are currently on ground are the older ones. There's been no new employment. So there's infrastructural decay, there's manpower decay. So the average poor person in Edo State doesn't have access to healthcare. The healthcare center, the primary healthcare centers, which should have taken care of the poorest of the poor, are also badly, badly broken down. Out of the 200 that were promised by this current government, they were only able to do 20. The sad thing about the 20 that were done, because we have 192 wards in Edo State, they promised 200. In the 3.5 years, almost 4 years they've been there, they were only able to do 20. These 20 that they have done, an example is the one at Eho. They built a beautiful structure. They put solar panels, but they locked the gate. The structure has intimidated the villagers who are poor. There's no doctor there. They came with big cars, put big tape, brought TV cameras, said they have done a primary healthcare center that is not accessible to the poor man. The poor man that is living there feels that that structure that was built there is for the rich, because nobody has communicated to them that it's for them and it's accessible. So the number is grossly inadequate, only 20 out of a promised 200 by this current government. So when the healthcare system is in a state of disrepair, there are no primary healthcare centers, the general hospitals are broken down, there are no doctors, maternal mortality will be high. In Edo State, we have currently 395 deaths per 100,000, and that is really, really high when you look at global acceptable standards. We don't have doctors that will take care of the sick. And then the only functional hospital that we had in Edo State that was not built by this current administration is Stella Obasanjo Hospital, which was equipped with state-of-the-art equipment by VAMED, was turned into a COVID-19 center. All the state-of-the-art equipment were thrown into the car park, and the doctors were told to go and stay anywhere they can stay. So the COVID-19 center that is currently in Edo State was the former Stella Obasanjo Hospital. Now the question we ask ourselves, those people that are poor, those people in Edo State who have other ailments, they have nowhere to go. There's no hospital. And then you begin to wonder, how could this have come about? But the simple agenda is going to address all these things because we live among the people. We are local people. We interact with them. We know their problems. We hear their cry. We see their pains. And when you listen to them, you can have a plan for them. So the simple agenda will address these fundamental problems of healthcare. Healthcare centers in the 192 wards that are accessible, not build a big building, take pictures and lock the gate. No doctor, no nurse, and the people look at it as if it is a place where you go and take pictures. That's not the purpose of a healthcare center. In all the other wards, there is no accessibility to healthcare. The very poor villagers, it is only God Almighty that is saving them. The simple agenda will take care of that. Hospitals will be repaired, health centers will be equipped, and there is actually a plan for primary healthcare, not lip service that is currently going on. A plan that will work, a plan that will make it accessible, a plan that will take care of the physical and mental well-being of the poorest of the poor. Remember, we are talking about poor people. We're not talking about people who have money to go to private hospitals. We are talking about Edo citizens who can barely eat. The simple agenda will also take care of manpower development. Remember, our School of Nursing has been closed down. We're not training nurses. School of Nursing will be brought back in because it's a system of train the trainers. You can't have older nurses who are about to retire who have not trained younger nurses on the experiences and the practicability of nursing. We will also bring back the School of Health Technology to train allied healthcare workers. Our social welfare system in Edo State is non-existent. The social workers are non-existent. There are no new ones being employed, and these are a very important part of the healthcare system. So manpower development for doctors, for nurses, all this will reduce maternal mortality. It will also reduce the severity of disease. If our people know that there is a healthcare center close to them that they can walk to and receive primary healthcare, it will reduce the incidences of death that is going on currently. Many people have lost faith in the health system in Edo State. They have lost faith. A new building was put up. We called it Edo Specialist Hospital. It was built by the former administration. The building was 100% completed. Equipment, 75% completed. And this current administration refused to finish it. Hello?
I see you're very passionate about the healthcare sector in Edo State. But One will wonder, there's nothing really specific for the Edo woman, the female folks, when you describe even this
Hello.
Can you hear me, Professor Idia?
Hello. Yes, I'm going to cut in there because you gave me so many things to talk about, and I'm still talking on the healthcare and the maternal mortality.
But for want of time, because we need to cover grounds as well, Professor Idia, if you would allow me.
Let me talk about the female folk. Hello, manpower development. We are going to train our women. You see, the simple agenda is all-encompassing. It doesn't just deal with one thing. It deals with the decay in Edo State. We are going to train our women. Our women are angry. We are angry because we have been denied health care. We are angry because our women are being put in prisons because they do not have marketplaces to sell. They sell on the walkways because the government did not provide shops and stalls for them to sell in. So they begin to sell their wares anywhere. And this government has been taking our women and putting them in Oko prison. Edo State, if we are not careful, we will have the highest number of female inmates in Nigeria because our women are going to jail because they cannot pay fines that this government has placed upon them because of their inadequacies in providing basic market stalls and small soft loans for them. The simple agenda is going to take care of that, and that is the message we have been preaching to all women. We are preaching that we are going to develop our women, we are going to give them soft loans, we are going to give them empowerment, we are going to train them, not the kind of empowerment that you will say 2 days and give a certificate. An empowerment that will make them to stand on their feet, empowerment that will take care of their families. We, the women in Edo State, we are angry because nothing has been done for women. The women have been sidelined. There is no inclusiveness in government in Edo State. So the simple agenda has that plan. If you look at the acronym, the M, manpower development, also includes women. The employment and empowerment includes women. So when we're talking about it, it's in the simple agenda. So we have many plans for them. We have set in place so many activities that will take care of the women. I have gone around all the markets in Edo State. I have talked to the woman because there's a slogan that says, a woman talk to a woman understand. We've been talking to our women, and we know their challenges, we know their problems. We have written it down, we have a direction, we have somebody who is passionate about it, we have somebody who is angry at the injustice the women have suffered these past 4 years.
Prof, can I come in here?
So when you talk, hello.
Okay, please go ahead. I wanted to come in at this point, but go ahead. You were still saying something.
Yes. Yes, we have a problem in Edo State. No new markets have been built. Our markets have burnt in Edo State. Why is it that markets are burning in Edo State? This present government said he was going to give them 100 million to rehabilitate them. Nothing was done. Oba market burnt. Ekiosa market burnt. Uwelu market burnt. No fire service. No palliative. No soft loans. The women are hungry. The women are angry. They don't have stalls. They go to the walkway to sell. You take them to the mobile court and you sentence them to prison. Many of them have gone to prison. And it's wrong. So those of us who live in Edo State, we hear the cry of the women. We hear the cry of our youths. And nothing has been done for them. Nothing. The healthcare system is in shambles. Our women cannot go to hospital. And the simple agenda has encapsulated everything in it because we live among them. We know their problems. And we have been talking to them. And we have arranged a very, very holistic plan that will take care of all these problems because we know the challenges. There is a market at Eho. That is the worst market in Edo State. No toilet. Go to all the markets in Edo State. No toilet, no water, no plan, no vision. And yet we hear people saying they've done this and done that. It's very, very upsetting.
Well, Professor Ize-Iyamu, I admire you for your passion, for the support you are giving your husband, Pastor Osagie Ize-Iyamu. In 2019, I ran as deputy governorship candidate on the platform of the PDP in my state. And my wife and my principal's wife, they covered senatorial districts. But I must say that in those states, you have raised the level, you and Mrs. Obaseki. But let me ask you, what exactly, what kind of man is your husband? What is that special thing that is bringing to the table? Will he end up as a stooge of Comrade Adams Oshiomhole, as some people suspect will happen? And what will you yourself bring to the table as a professor, as a professional in terms of support?
You see, sometimes when you use certain language, it's insulting. I have to use that word. No man can be a stooge of another man because God created man in his own image and in his own likeness. And God gave Pastor Osagie Ize-Iyamu the simple agenda. This is an agenda which is a manifesto of hope. It's something he has written down that he's going to run with it. So if a man has a manifesto and an agenda that he has sold to the people and the people have embraced and the people are going to run with it, how can you now say that person would be a stooge? That's an insult. There is a manifesto that he wrote,
a stupid question.
And he's going to run with it.
At least you
so
did better
it is very wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. No, it's wrong. It's insulting. You should talk about what is this man's manifesto, what is his agenda. And he has given you his agenda, which is written down. It's in a hard copy, it's in soft copy. The people of Edo State, we have sold it to them. We've gone around all the senatorial districts to tell them about the vision and the agenda of Pastor Osagie Ize-Iyamu, which you will hold him by, not by any man, but by his covenant with the people, which is the simple agenda. Pastor Osagie Ize-Iyamu is a man of God. He's a pastor in the Redeemed Christian Church of God. He's a builder of men. He's a builder of women. He's an empowerer. He's compassionate. He's kind. And he has a zeal for Edo people. Edo people are suffering. And we are living in their midst. We stay among them. We are local people. We live among the poor. And we see their pain. And it is this cry that has risen up, has stirred up compassion in both of us. That look, Edo State can be better. The poorest of the poor are getting poorer and poorer. Everything in Edo State is in a state of disrepair and dilapidation. And it is that passion that has driven him to come out and say, look, I offer myself for service. He's a man that believes in the people. He believes in women. He is kind, he's caring, he's a father, he's a listener. So Edo people are going to get a very, very good governor in Pastor Osagie Ize-Iyamu because he understands the people. When you understand your people, you can profess solutions to their problems. It's not when you go on air and you'll be telling people things that only people in the air are seeing. The poor people on the ground, they are not seeing these things, and the situation is getting worse. So Pastor Osagie Ize-Iyamu is a good man. He has a good heart. He has a big heart. He's passionate about God. He's passionate about his people. He's passionate about serving Edo State.
Right. Yes, I asked you, what will you bring to the table if you were to become the First Lady of Edo State, in terms of your own personal contribution?
Well, you see, the healthcare system is in shambles. You see, I cannot sit back and see people die from simple things that should not kill them. Healthcare is number one. Healthcare must be taken care of so that the poorest of the poor, I'm talking about poor people, the poorest of the poor, they can access health services. The market women, the women must be empowered. We are talking about 35% inclusiveness for women. Women have been left out of the scheme of things. We are talking about infrastructural development in the hospitals. We are talking about vulnerable groups. We have a lot of physical challenges in the state because of those people who don't have access. They don't have access to healthcare. Those people that are physically challenged, they have no access to healthcare. They have no access to education. They are a forgotten and neglected group, and nobody is talking about them. So this is what I am bringing onto the table. I'm talking about my women. I'm talking about the vulnerable groups. I'm talking about health. These are very, very important things because women are the backbone of any nation. And when you train one woman, you have trained a nation. We are not training our women. We are not empowering them. We are not encouraging them. We are not showcasing them. We are not building them with confidence.
Okay.
Our women are being neglected, and it's a sorry state.
Okay. I'm going to allow you to sound off on, what you will do as regards empowerment, of the youth in general. But if you don't find my question insulting, Adams Oshomole has campaigned with your husband everywhere. In fact, a lot of people think he's on the ballot.
Adams Oshomole is
yeah,
not the
so
issue,
if you don't find my...
The issue is Pastor Osagie Ize-Iyamu, who is the gubernatorial candidate with the simple agenda.
If you will hear me.
Adams Oshomole is not the candidate. Hello?
But Adams Oshomole has campaigned with your husband everywhere. And everybody even thinks that he's doing all of this because he wields a big interest. If you will not call my question insulting, Adams Oshomole is a factor in this election, except if you want to deny it, Prof. But that's one. And secondly, talk about how you're going to empower the youth.
Hello. You see, when you interview, some things that you say begins to get people worried on the motive behind the interview. If you are interviewing a man based on his agenda, which he has brought out, which is the simple agenda, that is what you should be focusing on. There are many people campaigning with Pastor Osagie Ize-Iyamu, and each and every person is a factor. He cannot, with his only one vote, win an election. So every single person is important. When we go out to canvass for votes, we meet everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. We're trying to convince you about our project. We're trying to convince you about our agenda. We're trying to convince you about our manifesto. And when they believe, they join the moving train. So if Comrade Adams Oshomole has believed in this agenda and is campaigning with him, he's not the only one. There is nothing wrong with it. But I don't know why you keep on trying to make it an issue, because the election is not won by one person. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. We just want to take this breaking news. The Supreme Court of Nigeria has dismissed PDP petition against the governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello. Earlier in the morning, we had a correspondent within the premises of the Supreme Court. At some point, we will probably go back to him. Prof, you may continue with the statement you were making. Prof, we're back to you.
When we canvass for votes, even former commissioners with this current governor have joined the moving train. The former chief of staff of this former governor has joined the moving train. You convince people, they believe in you, they believe in your project, they join your campaign. It shows the kind of person Pastor Osagie Ize-Iyamu is. He's a man that can reach out to everybody and work with them, because Edo State belongs to every Edo citizen. It doesn't belong to one person. So everybody must contribute their own quota to make the victory sure. So if Adams Oshomole is contributing his quota, it's wonderful. Every other citizen of Edo State is contributing their own quota. And that is the beauty of elections. You go out and you convince people, they come and join you, they follow you when you are campaigning, nothing wrong with it at all. It does not mean that because somebody is campaigning with you, automatically that person now becomes the issue. The issue is, does Pastor Osagie Ize-Iyamu have an agenda for Edo State? The answer is yes. Does he have a manifesto? The answer is yes. Is he campaigning around the 192 wards, the 3 senatorial districts in Edo State? The answer is yes. Is he winning people over to his side with his message of hope, which is the simple agenda? The answer is yes. So if a man is going around and convincing people, nothing wrong with it. We should not water it down. We shouldn't water it down. We are a moving train. This train is building momentum.
Okay. Time will tell. September 19th is around the corner. But let me ask you about his chances. Because despite his defection, your husband has once again found himself in the opposition party in the state. What do you think is different this time around? Because you're so confident. Actually, I'll be surprised if you're not confident your husband will win. But what have you seen that will be different this time around?
Well, let me tell you that he's going to win 18 over 18. You know why he's going to win? Because we are talking to the people. We are campaigning on issues. We are campaigning on a manifesto, and we are campaigning on an agenda. And we are talking to people. We are winning them over to our side, and they are following us because they know that Pastor Osagie Ize-Iyamu with the APC is a moving train. It's about the individual. What does this individual have to offer? He has an agenda. What is this agenda about? It's a manifesto of hope. The average Edo person has lost hope. So when they see somebody who is bringing hope, they are encouraged. When we go out to campaign to the women, we see the despondency, we see the despair, we see the anger. But when we preach this message of hope, because we are campaigning, we are working, you see the mammoth crowd that follows, because they have keyed into the message of the simple agenda. And then by now we are counting our votes. It's 18 over 18.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Idia Ize-Iyamu, for joining us this morning. I'm sure that many of our viewers, must be very happy with your spirited submissions and robust defense of your husband's political ambition. We wish you all the best. Thank you very much indeed.